here with Mark Pavelich. Moments before your event is going to start, first of all, you've got a main event of Pete Spratt versus Ryan Ford. What are your thoughts on that fight?
Well, it's a coming out party for Ryan Ford, right? I mean, I saw him in the gym when he first came out, and I was very, very impressed on his ability and his capability of the level of anger he can possess on somebody.
Your prediction for the fight?
I think it's going to be a real tough fight, but I think Ryan Ford, it's hard for me to say, but of course I think Ryan Ford's going to win the fight, right? I think he's going to pick Pete Spratt up and drop him right on his head.
You think it's going to be a violent fight?
I think it's going to be one of the more violent MMA fights in the history of MMA. I really believe that. That's why we did it. I mean, that's why the show sold out a month in advance, because I just, it's funny, other organizations, they match up fights and they think, oh, we're going to see this guy fight and this guy fight, and they're terrible fights, right? I mean, it's almost impossible to have Pete Spratt and Ryan Ford as a bad fight. It almost is, you know what I mean? It's like you hype it up so much and then you hope it lives up to the hype, and so many organizations, they'll put these fights together and on paper they're going to be terrible.
This fight could potentially be a big, fast KO type fight. Do you see this fight going past the first round?
No. It's like, people ask that all the time, and I was like, I don't see it either way. Let's not forget about Spratt, eh? Great high kicks, great right hand. This guy can knock people out, right? He's done it before. He put it on Robbie Lawler. He's put it on some good fighters. So, do not dismiss the fact that it could go either way here. But I don't know. I say maybe one round, maybe a round and a half. If it goes in a third round, I'd be shocked.
Is this going to be the best fight in MFC history?
It's going to be hard because, you have Cote and McDonald. I think still that's the best fight by far. I mean, this was a colossal war between two, they're my favorite fighters. Jason McDonald's my favorite fighter, and then Patrick Cote is one of my second favorite fighters, along with Ryan Ford. So, I still think it's going to be hard to top a 5-round war like that.
What is the limit in MMA for Ryan Ford?
There is no limit for Ryan Ford. I mean, that's like asking, Michael Jordan, what was his limit in basketball? That's what I mean. I see Ryan Ford like that. I see Ryan Ford as the guy that he's the guy that, like, when Michael Jordan was a kid, in the schoolyard and people were talking about him and said, oh, that guy's going to be huge one day. That's what Ryan Ford is now.
Other than Ryan Ford, who do you see in your organization that could potentially make some noise?
Brad Zeslak. He just beat Shoney Carter. He destroyed Shoney Carter. I think he could go real far. Of course, Ryan Ford go real far. There's so many great fighters in my organization. Mike Sorensen could go far. Jesse Forbes now fights with us too. At 205, I wasn't even interested in him, right? But at 185, you're talking about a different fighter here altogether, right? So there's so many guys I signed. I just signed Gary Goodridge, right? We're going to reincarnate him and do it properly and put him in a position where he's going to do real well too, as well, in the heavyweight division. He's going to dominate the heavyweight division for sure.
Is Ryan Ford one of the most exciting fighters you've ever seen?
Ever. He's more exciting than Quentin Jackson. He's more explosive than Kimbo Slice. He is. No offense to those fighters. I love Kimbo. I love Quentin Jackson. I think they're phenomenal, right, for the sport as well, bringing so much hype to it. But Ryan Ford is that he off camera, on camera, he's the nicest guy when you're walking around, but when he fights, there's something really wrong with this guy, and I really don't want to psychoanalyze it too much.
Yeah, I was just going to say, where does this aggressiveness come from? It's not almost like it's not MMA. It's almost like street alley fighting.
Arnold, you saw it too, right? You've seen him fight. It's like it's not normal, right? It's like you see MMA fighters are kind of like, there's a certain kind of way they fight, right? And he doesn't fight like them. And then what he's doing now is he's learning more jiu-jitsu, more wrestling, and more stand-up. And you combine that with his aggression, and you better fight him now, because if you try to fight him later, it's going to be a big problem.
Your final parting thoughts for the fans out there who are going to be watching this fight live on HDNet for the first time in the history of the Maximum Fighting Championships?
Well, I'm extremely excited about my relationship with Mark Cuban. I think the combination between the Maximum Fighting Championship and HDNet, I know they have relationships with other people too as well, but I don't know. I just see our combination, it's such a nicer fit for both parties. Most people know that I can sell out any venue, any place, anytime. So that's the forte of our family. And that's the thing, right? Where our family's going to consistently do that. We've sold out 9 shows in a row now, 8 or 9 shows in a row. It doesn't matter what size of venue we're in. We're just going to consistently sell it out because no one can outwork us. And that's the difference. And Mark Cuban has that type of work ethic. So that's why the fit is so good.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Arnold. Take care.